Hi, I'm John Dennis, author of Men Raised by Women, and I wanted to share some things from my new book and the great impact that we're seeing on men, women, and children that have gotten involved with some of the mentoring programs and some of the efforts that arise out of this material. Before we go too far, though, I want to let you know this is a great tool for moms trying to navigate raising a young boy by themselves, for dads that you're not in the picture and mom needs your help, and I want you to know why. I want you to know what your son is going through without you being there. And then for the great men that are out there that are helping mentor, this is an invaluable tool to help you understand some of the things he can't talk to you about because there's privacy at home. Even if there's issues he may be going through with his mom or from the lack of having his dad around, this is going to help give you insight into a lot of the secret battles and struggles that the young man is having. I've got a guest today that's going to share some of the actual details, and so sit back, listen, and hopefully this will share some light on a lot of the subjects that we need to cover. Well, thanks for being here. I'm not going to have your name on the video, but I do appreciate everything that you're able to share with us. And just going to jump right in because there's so much great information. Chapter 1 in this book talks about the modern family, but you're able to tell some of the details of the story when I get into Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is titled, I Don't Need a Man, That's Fine. What about your son? Because we both know that that young man needs an actual father, an actual role model, whomever that may be. Tell us some of your experiences and some of the stuff that you would want to share, because we're going to make sure the message gets out.
Well, I think it's important that you do have a role model, a man in the house. It's just the fact that in my household, we had a man, but it wasn't the kind of role that you would think. He wasn't the typical go out, good word, pep you up, hey son, how you doing? Even never really introducing himself to me. He was kind of like sat in my lap, and I think that for me that was the problem. He never really acknowledged himself as, hey, I'm finna be in your life, and I'm gonna try to help you along the way. It was more of a struggle, like you're gonna do what I say do, no matter what. And even though you was telling me what I was gonna do it the way you said it. Your way wasn't always right. From bills, from knowing how to write a checkbook, going to the ATM. I had other people. You're supposed to be in my life every day, but that's not what you teach me. What you teaching me is not to be an alcoholic, about your health. That's one of the reasons he's no longer here, his health. He didn't take care of himself. Loving your spouse, because my mother used to use terms like, I can't get something because I don't have no money, or I can't. Well,
Right.
if you're supposed to be the man in the house, then you need to be providing that, and I'm not going to quote the Bible verbatim, but that's part of our sacrifice. We supposed to go out and provide for this family right here.
Yeah.
And that's why when you don't take care of that, and I think that's the reason why I think he wasn't successful through life, because he did not do that. He thought because he cooked and he cleaned.
So this isn't your the biological.
It's my step. I'm talking about my stepfather.
So did he earn your respect before your parents even got married? Did
He never, and that's the part, and that's he never. I was never introduced to him, never, and that is strike one with my mom from the get go. Before they got together, I really stayed with my grandmother a lot, and my grandmother put me in preschool. That's how much I was with my grandmother, and to the point where the story goes, they had to come get the police to come get me from my grandmother's house because I wouldn't leave. 6 years old, hold on to your grandmother. Now, my other grandparents thought that my grandmother was telling me all this stuff, but my mother was out there and like my grandma was trying to keep me away. So you never really introduced me to this guy. All I remember was my brother on the way. Wow. My memory goes back that far. Wow. All I remember was my brother's on the way. A brother. When did you get pregnant?
Wow.
So the point is, it never was saying, hey, and this is his name. I'm not going to say his name. This is him. He's going to be in our lives. No, it was more like, I'm going to get you over here. All of a sudden, we stand here. No groundwork, no nothing. So I think from the beginning, just like anything, if it's not done right in the beginning, it's not going to be good
Right.
in the
Long
end.
term trouble.
Yeah, so I don't think and then when I found out who he was, he didn't come from a good background to even be able to have children to be able, he had daughters. He had two daughters. Their definition of him, not as worse as mine, but we love our daddy, but
Right.
because
Right.
they even stopped coming around as they got older. So if your own biological children don't want to come around, then how do you think one that doesn't belong to you is going to react to you? And I think over the years for me was, like I told you earlier, he showed me, he was a role model. He showed me every which way how not to do it. That's why I work two jobs. If my wife be like, oh, I didn't get to get this, I'll be like, okay, babe, what can I do? What can I do? Because I already know how it is when you tell your kids, as a woman, you can't do something, and there's a man laying right there in the bed with you.
Were you able to talk to your mom about it at any point? I guess you were young, but
When
did
I
you
was
try to
younger,
bring it
no.
up?
When I was younger, I really never understood it because
Right.
I was always in my own anger. I was already angry, like what's going on. But as I got older, I was able to explain to her, and she didn't even want to hear it until a friend of hers told her he had never known. He known us probably 4 or 5 years. He pulled me outside. He said, I want to apologize to you. I was like, why? He said, I want to shake your hand because the perception that your mother gave me of you is not the perception that I see when you come here. And it was more like, he said, I see you do the difference between you and your brother. Your brother can say whatever you want to your mom, and she just kind of like, oh, that's him. But if you say something, she's more defensive, like there's a problem. Well, I keep going back to thinking probably that's why she allowed it to happen because she never saw no wrong in it. So here I am, this guy telling me this, and I'm sitting here like, wow. And he brought it to my mom's attention. She got upset. Yes, I do. I don't make no bones about it. Yes, you do. And I really think she doesn't want to accept that in her heart. But as I've gotten older and I'll be bringing stuff up, be like, that wasn't right, mom. We grown now. We can sit in the
That's right.
table.
That's right.
I can sit away across and say, I'm a grown man. That wasn't right. And I would never subject any of my kids or a child that I adopt in my own way to do any of that.
I appreciate that because it's important for your health, your emotional health, and your mental state that you can now talk to your mom because a lot of guys are too bottled up to even make that journey and to understand it. And then when you get to some of the bigger subjects I deal with, when I talk about the mom treating her son like he's her husband, also, you have any of that? You have any of the responsibilities for taking care of her ever played? Was that placed on you?
It was placed on me, especially after he died, after he passed, maybe years, maybe about 3 or 4 years. My mother was in the housing industry back, and she had got in it, but when it flipped upside down, she had to close her business down. She was in the real estate and all that,
Real estate agent.
and so she it kind of flipped, had to close her business down and whatnot. Make a long story short, it went from losing the house to all these other things. Now, I see this, but it's not affecting me as you think it would. Like, oh, I got to go see how my mom. Oh, no, it was more like, okay.
Should have made preparation.
And to the point where you had to come stay with me. I always say the one you kind of turned your cheek to, like I don't hear you. So now you got to come stay with me. You're at my house. I'm taking care of you. You're not paying a bill. Then you even bring my brother to come stay with us when he comes home from school. And we had a moment where my brother decided that he was gonna talk like his daddy to me.
So he was adult age by then.
Man, he was in his mid-20s, so
School, you mean college?
college. So he came and he made a statement, and I explained to him, I am not your daddy. Y'all not gonna live in my house and talk to me like this in my house.
Absolutely.
So if y'all don't like it, y'all are more than happy to go. And maybe a week later, my mom left. And instances like that, even from transportation, bought her a car. My wife giving me the look like, you did what? We don't even have a new car. I don't have a new car. And got the car for her. She had a job. She wasn't totally honest with me. She didn't tell me that the job was only for a short period of time. Car note still needs to be paid. My brother attempted to pay it for a little while. Once that went, here I come. I'm taking care of it. And to the point where I wasn't able to really do it because I have my own family, wife, kids, and whoever else I have to take care of. And here she is at the end of it. I'm saying, Mother, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to school. I'll be able to help you pay for it. Okay. Well, the amount that you told me was nowhere in the amount ballpark. So I'm nipping off that, trying to pay it to the point where I can't pay it. And then I had to come get it, and you got mad. And not once since that day, and that was years ago, have you ever asked me what happened? I'm sorry, or nothing. But then you ask me why I treat you or I lack thereof, or even moving. You know, I used to move furniture. I know how to move, Mom. Instead of listening to me, you go pay somebody extra money to do that, but then turn around and say, can I help you pay for it? No, Mother, you have free service right here with me. Wow. Free service. And so it's just like, and then like I said, me and you talk and make a statement, it makes riffles in your house.
Absolutely.
It makes riffles in the house. And my wife was one of those people, she's not going to say nothing then, but if something comes up, she's going to point it out to you.
Yeah, it's going to violate the healthiness of your married life when somebody outside of that expects to be a higher priority than somebody inside the house, especially your wife.
Right, and I think what my wife is like, she probably wouldn't have a problem with it if it wasn't my mom. Absolutely. And she knows me and my mother's relationship. And I think that's probably one of the main reasons why she acts on it. And I try to kind of be neutral about it because I don't want to, you know, because in my world, I feel like I already don't do as much as for my mom. And I feel like if I don't do little stuff like that, I'm going to feel guilty. Be like, hey, that's my mom. And, you know, you're going to call her. She going to give you the...
It's hard, right? You're trying to do for a person that biologically is your mom, that maybe didn't make all the investment in the relationship to where it's easy for you to feel like doing stuff for her. You know, it's hard because you're pulling from trying to do what you believe in, your faith is right, believe in what you want you want the grandkids to see. You want them to see that, but then your heart can't be behind it because you know how you were kind of
she makes the statement, you'll do something for somebody else with no problem. But when it comes to me, I got to get all your mouth. You're absolutely correct. Right. Because most of these people that I just meet in passing probably have my best interest at heart more than you probably would have. And it's kind of hard for me to understand, like, I go to somebody else's house, meet their mom or dad, they be like, wow, you know, shoot, that's cool. Tell you, let's go to my mom, you'd be like, you sure that's the same person you sure you talk about him? Right. And to me, I kind of get offensive about it. My mother told me that I was the prodigal son. And I said, Mom, that story's wrong. Because I never came back home once I left. Make sure you get the story right. Okay, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, and that's why I say make sure you get that story right. Don't make sure you don't. And my mother would talk about my brother as though he's this great guy. My brother's cool, but my brother's not as successful as he should be. But then when it comes to me, I'm pretty well off. But she'll never acknowledge that, and I don't know if it's because I don't acknowledge her husband, the guy that you honor him. When his birthday come around, she all upset and, you know, but I'm just trying to figure out, how do you be like this about a man that really wasn't the definition of that. Yeah, you loved him, okay, but what did he do in return? You know, when you make when he passed, you make the statement, if this is his way of helping us pay bills. So if you even think that your husband passed away to help pay bills, I don't need to pass away to help pay bills. I do that while I'm here, while I'm breathing. I go out here and work twice as hard because but I didn't learn that from him. I learned that from just me being like, that ain't how you do it.
So when I'm trying to relay the message to moms, I'm trying to not put them down because it's a lot of moms that don't know in some blinders kind of way what their boys are seeing, which is why I wrote this book. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to tell you that there's a young male in your house and he's looking at it and he's learning some stuff about relationships and about you, and it's not always what you think he's learning. And so I'm trying to give moms that insight. So what advice would you give for that young mom? She's 24, 25, had a kid maybe earlier than she wanted to, or whatever the circumstances, she's doing it by herself and she's got a young boy. And talk about, if she start dating, what does she need to know about if she don't try to date?
First of all, she need to be honest with the child. I really hate to hear people like, well, I don't want to put that much on it. Let your children know what's going on. If you're a young child, if you're a young lady, you're probably 25, your kid probably 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Say, look, mama's going out on a date, going out. Mama need to be happy. Just kind of let them know. And then if it gets any serious, you tell them like, hey, I'm going to bring somebody around. And this is going to be somebody we're going to see quite often. All I need you to do is respect him. I didn't say you had to bend over backwards, but respect him to the point that, you say, hey, when they speak, or, if you feel like something is wrong that you see, be more than happy to come and tell me.
We need to hear about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, come and tell me, and then I'll address that. Once you've told them that, then that's fine. Then that way they'll know that this person is going to be coming around. Then you, as the parent, which is the mom, you turn around to the man and say, look, sir, I'm going to bring you around my child. I'm going to need you to, I didn't ask you to be his father. Most times cats ain't trying to be nobody else's daddy. I just need you to come in, be a man, keyword, man, interact if you're going to be around, because y'all got to have a relationship too.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the part where we miss. You keep saying that word, and even in your book you just said, you say relationships. Well, you have to have a relationship with your child, and if you're going to be the man around, you need to have a relationship with him too.
Absolutely.
So once you've told that and broke the ground, then once your child has probably gotten older with your relationship, meaning if he was 5 or 6, now he's 7 or 8. Okay, now you have to let him know, okay, look, we're about to get married. He's going to move in. He's going to be here every day on the date. Hey, he's probably earned your respect by now. So you let him know, I don't need you to be acting out. I don't need you to, if you still don't like something, please still come and talk to me.
That's right.
Then you let the guy know, like, hey, you're here. Treat him as your own.
Yep.
That's the word for me that I never heard. Treat him as your own. And once you've talked and communicated and relayed the message, whatever happens after that, it is. So can't nobody say I wasn't told, I wasn't abreast. You just need to make sure you tell that son, hey, I know this is not your father, but I need you to respect him as a grown person, because if you raised your child right, they're going to respect grown people, whether it's man or woman. So that part needs to be always upheld. And because I've been on the side where I'm the man and the woman is choosing the kid, but the kid is being ornery and rude and disrespectful. So me being me, from my past, I'll take myself out of the situation because I feel like it's not going to be a healthy relationship. But when I got married, same thing. We sat down and we talked.
That's right.
All I asked was to be respected as a man, and I'll give you that in return. That's all I never asked.
Absolutely.
And I just think, just to sum it up, it needs to be communication. Mother needs to talk to son. Mother needs to talk to guy. Common denominator, mom.
Yeah, and then behind all that, that means mom can't be rapid fire dating.
Correct.
You know, there can't be a parade of men being introduced to the young guy, and so mom can't just float through relationships that aren't intended to be real.
Yes, because the son is going to start thinking mom she's not serious.
Absolutely.
So when she comes and gives me this speech about this guy, you're going to be like, oh boy, how long he going to be here? so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, you have to. But I feel like if you're a woman, you really trying to meet somebody, you're not going to introduce them to your kids off the rip, no way.
Absolutely.
You're not going to say, hey, this is such a no. You're going to be like, we're going to date. We're going to go out. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. And when I feel like it's comfortable for you to meet my kids, then I'll let you do that. But until that time, and I feel like you shouldn't even bring that to your son or your daughter or whoever your child is until you feel that this person is going to be around. Until then,
Absolutely.
you don't need to be, because like you said, it's going to look like rapid fire dating, and it's going to give a bad aura to the kid. And then if you do meet that one person that's serious, he's not going to take them serious neither.
Yep. Yep. You're gonna have him turned off on the number of guys you bring home, and that's a hard road to correct. That's a hard one to correct. So I guess the last topic, your dad's still alive,
Yeah,
you're kicking all that good stuff. Talk about that in any way, shape, or form. Your dad in this whole storyline.
My dad is the is the total opposite of my stepfather, who I stayed on with. Total opposite. It's kind of like me. He's not always right. He didn't say he's a saint, but when it comes to the essentials of loving your son, caring about your family, and giving yourself, that's him.
Now, how much was your dad in the picture? If I had to give a percentage from age 0 to 18, with living there at home being 100%, divorce or some kind of breakup, or with being there every summer as 2 months out of the year, so that's what, a 10% value? What kind of percentage?
I'm going to be honest. I give him probably about maybe a 12 or 13.
Okay.
Just being honest, only because, like you said, the summer months in but 2 or 3 months.
Absolutely.
But during the school year, I still would go see him on a couple of weekends out the month, or I saw him every holiday, and so, or he worked. That's why as I got older, I respected that the fact that he couldn't come to a lot of things because he was really at work.
Right.
So I never hold that against him, but I would go see him on the weekends in the summertime. But when I was with him, it was the quality, not the quantity of the visits, is what got me. He always had a good word, always uplifted me. If I did something wrong, he checked me, and I respected my dad enough to the point my dad ain't with me but twice in these whole entire year. It's because I was doing some knucklehead stuff, but he would sit down and talk to you.
Absolutely.
And I respected him from a standpoint was I didn't care what nobody else saw him, mom, grandmom, whoever. When it came to me, he uplifted me to the point where he cared. He said, "I love you, son." He gave your kiss on the forehead. Most men don't want to kiss their son.
That's right.
You ain't telling him. Hey, he'll tell you now. I'm kissing you in your forehead. I don't care because you my son. Because he loves you.
Yep.
He loves you, and he was a role model to the point where I saw how hard he worked. It's just his angles of doing it wasn't always right. And sometimes I have to look in the mirror myself and say, "Hey man, that ain't right. You doing what your dad do." So he was around, and I think that's why we have like a better relationship just talking. Because I don't call him dad, I call him D.
Right.
Because he's more like my friend.
Right.
But I respect him always as dad. But when I can sit down and talk to him, or like, "Dad, man, this fifth and sixth," and he start laughing, I can do that with him. I could never do that with my mom. I definitely never could do that with my stepfather because they didn't understand who I was. So just him being kind of loving me. I mean, he had another son, and my brother, he loved on my brother. But I know what for me, if it was me about me, he loved me. It was no.
And so you bring out an important point. I wanted to get up in the air so everybody could hear it, because just because mom's relationship with the guy did not work for and as kids we don't care whose fault it was, we really don't, whether and so it is neither parent's job to try and tell me how it broke down and to have me on one side or against the other side.
As you get older, you're going to find out what happened.
You'll find out. And so, but your dad, if he's of any certain measure above getting in jail, and even some of those guys when they've turned it around, even if that boy is prone to, that's his hero, that's who I look like, those are my people, and trying to undermine that is very dangerous for the mom-son relationship, because it can turn and backfire. And you still are gonna have your respect and your care and your desire to have a relationship with your dad. And me, like you, my relationship with my dad is fantastic now. And I don't see him a lot, but I see him when I want to, and he checks in and I check in, and it's enough. And we hope to also let him move into the grandparent enjoyment and us let them do all that good part as well. So that's I really appreciate you sharing with us. Any other last advice for the group? So this book is meant to speak to moms, so that if a mom doesn't understand how that young boy is thinking, we just told you. If this is also for the dads, if you didn't know your son hasn't heard from you, and he wants to hear from you, and he's a teenage boy, he don't want to talk on the phone a lot, but even though you call him, that was good enough. That being present, being available, 10-15 minutes, if that's all it is, plug it in there. For the dads, you can say something to the dads if you want. And then for the last element, something I do now, building mentoring programs for a mentor. Maybe you don't understand what's happening as a mentor in a single parent home with a lady trying to raise a young boy, and now we're trying to inform you what that young guy is dealing with. So say something to any of those, all of those, if you want to. That can
no problem.
Turn the light on.
To the mothers, please be honest with your son and explain to him what it is that you're trying to do. So if anytime there's a problem, it's an open dialogue. Don't just force it on him. Because if you force it on them, they're still boys that grow up to be men, still going to be stubborn, like I don't want that. But just communicate, keep an open dialogue, let them know I'm still your mother. I think that's what get lost, is that you're so worried about you being happy, you forget that you still somebody's mother.
Right.
That's the part. I'm going to speak to the guys who aren't able to speak about it. You have to speak about it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you still going to have that bad taste in your mouth, and you're just not going to be able to deal with it, because as you get older, stress is one of the reasons why people don't, especially in black men. So you have to get it off your chest, and then maybe if you talk and get it off your chest, it'll feel better to you, also knowing there are other people feeling the same way as you do. I would like to also send a message to the stepdad coming into the situation.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Be a man, ask for the respect, show the respect, and then also let your voice be heard. Go to the child. Let him know, hey, I'm here. I know I'm not your father. I know I'm probably the last person on your list right now, but I'm going to be here. I got your back. You want to talk? Cool, because at the end of the day, you two are still males.
Absolutely.
And you can't talk to moms about something that you as a man should be having this conversation with. So go in there, introduce yourself. It's almost like you're dating the child. Yeah. Like you're introducing yourself. Like you introduced to her, you slid up on her real cool. Hey, got to do the same thing for the child. Absolutely. And let them know, hey, and then let your actions do the talking, and they will see that. And other than that, man, I just hope moms understand that your son looks for you for that motherly love. Yeah. I didn't get that from my mom. I got it from my grandmother. But it's nothing like calling your mama up saying, Mama, where you at? I'm coming over there to see you. Because I would have loved to do that. And for the guys who still struggling, open up.
Absolutely.
You gotta open up. If you don't open up, can't nobody help you. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? So, with that's all I got.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time, and I hope we get a chance to do some more on other subjects as these projects go ahead. Thanks for listening in. I want to encourage you, get a copy of Men Raised by Women and let it open up to you some of the things that you don't know. If you're a mom, you really want to know what's happening with your young man. If you're a dad, you really need to know what's happening if he's over there and he's staying with his mom, what you need to do, how you need to be involved. There's a lot more that I cover in the book compared to what you see in these interviews. I want to help you and your family because I needed it. I'm not sharing with you things that I studied trying to get a PhD. This comes from life experience. This comes from years of being mentored, years of mentoring, experience with just a number of people and trying to make a difference in the lives of our young boys. Look around. It's a big problem. Also, keep looking, and you'll see men out there making a difference, the men that are mentoring and working with our young guys. To the men that are mentoring young guys, God bless you. Thank you so much. This is a tool you can use to understand a little bit more the dynamics that are happening in that guy's life. It's not a psychology book. It's a book that really is passing along insight. One of the things we found is that the wisdom of good men has kind of fallen off the planet. And so we're trying to instill it back into the family. Get with me. You can visit my website at johnpdennis.com and learn a little more. You can get hold of my upcoming book, Man Made, The Recipe for Manhood. That's a mentoring manual. So you'll have something that allows you to walk young men up to the state they need to be in. It's a program that can go into schools. It can go into churches. We're doing man skills retreats where we teach young boys simple things such as tire changes, oil changes, how to paint, how to patch a hole in the wall, how to hang a ceiling fan. Things that guys of this day lack in their masculine development. And so the young ladies are struggling when they meet these guys that don't even have the normal toolkit that you would hope a man has. We're trying to help them get there once you come partner with us. And I appreciate your support. Thanks for joining us.